Well, thank you so much for watching Morning Live. In conversation at the moment with Lawson Naidoo of CASAC, and we're talking about the Commission of Inquiry into allegations of state capture, and that is expected to get underway in Parktown, Johannesburg today. Now, before the break, Lawson, we were talking about other state entities coming to the party and making sure that, you know, we actually get to the result, the end result, where people are held accountable and where possibly monies are put back into state coffers. And we're talking about billions of rands. But then we look at what this commission is going to cost before I even get to the NPA question. Around 230 million rand is what we are told this will cost the public. So looking at that over a 2-year period and the monies that have already been lost, let's talk about the powers of this particular commission.
Well, you know, it's a judicial commission of inquiry with powers of subpoena, calling witnesses, getting documents, getting information into the public domain. And, you know, we'll recall that going back to the Public Protector's report, Advocate Madonsela felt that she didn't have the resources nor the time to do the very deep investigation that was required to really uncover the extent of state capture, which is why she, in her remedial action, said that there should be a judicial commission of inquiry to do so within certain parameters and the terms of reference, and that it should, you know, we must not forget that she recommended that the commission should conclude its work within a period of 6 months. And I think you know, she probably said that because a lot of the work had already been done and it needed just a further deep dive in order to uncover information. As I said earlier, you know, there's a lot of other information that come to the fore since the publication of the report through the Gupta emails and other investigations that have been conducted. So it's really about giving the opportunity to witnesses to come forward. We know that from the people who have been listed as the early witnesses that they will be dealing with the issues of whether Fakey Mentor and Kebisi Jonas were offered cabinet positions by the Gupta brothers, whether the president at the time, Jacob Zuma, was aware of those offers and whether he colluded in those offers being made to them, whether the Government Communication and Information Services, then headed by Themba Maseko, another key witness that's going to come forward in the next few days, whether they were pressurized into placing advertising with the New Age newspaper. So these are some of the issues that the Commission is going to deal with at the start of its hearings. And those are issues that we believe can be concluded very, very quickly and can actually lead to dockets and prosecutions being effected in the very short term. And we don't need to wait 2 years for the Zondo Commission to complete its work. But as they go along and deal with particular aspects of the terms of reference, I think the Commission should be issuing interim reports to the President and making the Hawks, as I said, the police and the NPA familiar with the information at their disposal so that they can, continue to conduct the prosecutions that will be necessary.
And what about the powers to summon or subpoena witnesses who may be out of the country at the moment?
Well, you know, that's again is an issue of cooperation between different agencies, and the NPA will have to issue those notices and assist the Commission to do so, to subpoena witnesses wherever they might be. I know there have now been reports that President Zuma is going to be asked to be a witness, and you know, that should be of no former President Zuma. That should be of no surprise to us because he was directly and centrally implicated in these allegations of state capture, and he needs to come forward and answer to the people of South Africa through this commission as to to what his conduct was in relation to all of these allegations, to what extent he and his family may have benefited from the relations that they had with the Gupta brothers.
Well, speaking of former President Jacob Zuma, again, the reports are that he's been asked whether he actually wants to testify in person. So what do you make of that, given that I think many South Africans would have wanted to hear from President Jacob Zuma in person under oath to answer to these allegations?
Well, I think the Commission of Inquiry has given the former President Zuma the opportunity to voluntarily now come forward. They've invited him. And I would assume that if he doesn't take up that invitation, that they will then issue a subpoena because, as I said, he is a central figure in this. It's very, very clear from the Public Protector State of Capture report, from all of the other allegations that emerged in the public domain, that Jacob Zuma was a central figure in this, and he needs to come forward and answer to the people of South Africa openly and in front of a commission of inquiry under oath as to what his role was, and and face the consequences of his actions.
Lawson, the NPA, and all of last week also making headlines, the National Prosecution Authority, they have their own troubles. And now, when we talk about state agencies who are supposed to assist this commission in carrying out its work, obviously the NPA is equally central. And given what they are grappling with at the moment, can we expect them to do this job without fear, without favor, and, get to the bottom of what is going on here?
Well, I think we know the concerns around the leadership at the National Prosecuting Authority. President Ramaphosa, in his State of the Nation address in February this year, highlighted that and said it was one of the challenges that he needed to deal with. Now that the Constitutional Court has ruled that the appointment of Sean Abrams was invalid and he's been removed from office, the President now has an opportunity to appoint a new head of the NPA. And we hope that that person is going to be someone who's really has the capability to stand up to the challenges of the time and to deal, as you say, without fear, favor or prejudice with those that are implicated in these state capture allegations, to put together strong cases and to ensure that money is recouped and, where necessary, people go to prison for their unlawful conduct. And, that's really, this is an issue that has really damaged the fibre of South Africa over the last few years. And, it's something that we need to tackle as a nation. We need a process of healing from what has gone wrong in this country and the culture of impunity that appeared to be taking root, and to ensure that the rule of law does stand tall. And that ultimately is the responsibility of the National Prosecuting Authority, because if we're all treated equally before the law, we will all respect the law equally.
Well, Lawson Naidoo, thank you so much for speaking to us this morning. And Lawson Naidoo, of course, the Executive Secretary of CASAC, the Council for the Advancement of the South African Constitution, and giving us, just what exactly we can expect, and also speaking to the powers of this particular commission. And that, of course, also relates to our question of the day. But for now, let's get into the news. And